Hey everybody, it's Joric. Welcome back. I hope you're doing great wherever you are in the world. Today, I wanted to give you 5 locations that I've been to scouting out properties for people that I think might be good places to look to invest, buy, rent, potentially retire here in Portugal. So as you're looking at 2024 and this may be the year for you to make a move, you may want to consider adding these locations to your list that you already have going of potential spots. So if you're looking at Idealista or other real estate agency sites to be able to look at property, you may want to add these in. And I'll give you some of the highlights and give you some explanation as to why. So the first place I'm going to talk about is Sinege, which is right on the Atlantic coast. It is kind of north of the main Algarve region of the Lagos and Portimao and Albufeira, but it's also south of Lisbon and even Sesimbra, Setúbal, and whatnot. And I would say, from a property standpoint, if you're looking at rents or you're looking to purchase property, whether it be an apartment, a flat, or a home, or let's say a farm, you have some pretty good deals to be had, and you're right on the coastline. So you might want to consider Sinege as a potential option if you haven't already added that to your list. The next place I'm going to go is east and a little north of Lisbon, Santarem. That area I had not been to before. I've gone north and I've gone east of it, or south of it, excuse me, but I have not been to it. But after exploring it and looking at a few properties, it's less than an hour from Santarem to, let's say, the Lisbon airport. So I think I got back in about 45 minutes, a little less than 50 minutes. So that, I think, is a place that might be in the future, a place that people will consider. Prices and rents, much better deals there than in Lisbon. And it's an emerging area because I think I didn't see, or I shouldn't say I didn't see, that's the wrong use. I didn't hear much other than Portuguese. I think it's truly a Portuguese community, and in walking around the area as well as being out into the countryside, I think it's an area that expats or immigrants haven't necessarily looked at yet. But again, I could have been there on a couple of days where I just was not hearing any other language than Portuguese. But I think it's a great opportunity, and especially if you want to immerse yourself and get to know the language and locals. It's close enough to Lisbon, but it's also far enough away that you're getting a better price point. The next place I would consider is Elvas. And this place is about 2.5 hours from Lisbon, depending on traffic, but it's also right next to the Spanish border. You're 10 minutes away from Spain. So in this area, I thought it was a cool area. You're in a smaller community, but again, having the access to Spain literally right next door, but also being close to a major city like Lisbon. If you need to come in for certain things, let's say health care issues, if you have doctor's appointments or things that can't be handled in Elvish, that you could come into the city for. I thought that was a really nice place to walk around, and looking at the property prices and the rents, they looked very appealing. So I think that may be a location that you want to consider and add to your list for 2024. The next one is Avis. It looks like Avis, like the rental car company, and it's a place that I didn't even know it existed, but had friends go there, and then had a couple of people want to buy. One wanted to buy, and one wanted to rent property in the community, in the town. So I went to this village, and it was beautiful. It was just quintessential, and I think authentic Portugal, that you don't necessarily get in Porto or Lisbon or the Algarve. Um, Prices were a few $100s less for the same type of space for renting a flat as opposed to Lisbon or Porto. And then when it came to property prices, it seemed like things were not inflated like what you get maybe in major cities, or what's going on in the last 5 to 7 years, especially in Lisbon. Um, you could buy like farms there pretty reasonably. So I think that if you are going to consider a place and you want to be out of um, Lisbon, you want to be out of Porto, you want more of a country life or a small town, a village or hamlet type of existence, Avis is a place to look at. It's also worth noting that they have a world-class rowing center there. So a lot of Olympic athletes that have rowing as their sport um, practice there. So it's cool. That is a place, again, something I didn't know until I went there and explored. And that facility is a little bit outside of the village, and they have a beautiful hotel there. So it's a hike to get into town, but that is a neat place that you may want to consider that in the next 5 to 7 years becomes more of a popular place for people to go to. And then lastly is a place that probably shows up on other lists, and it's Tomar. I'm fascinated with the history of Portugal, and so the Knights Templar, just huge complex there. And as you're walking through the town, just it to me, that is quintessential Portugal. There's a few other places that give me that same vibe, but you are about an hour and a half north of Lisbon. You're a couple hours from Porto, so depending on how you're flying in or flying out, um, and you're a little less than an hour from Nazaré. So big waves and surfing. That place, I thought, had a lot of what people would want, or clients that have in prior years have looked for properties to rent or to stay. More and more people want to be out of the big city. Doesn't matter amenities, access, things like that. They'd rather have a more rural or a smaller town life, if you will. And I think Tomar checks those boxes. I really enjoyed meeting some of the people up there in the several trips that we've gone, either as tourists or I've gone up there looking at properties. It is a very cool place to go to. Now, it does get tourism because of the Knights Templar aspect and the historical context of that. But I think these places, the Sinij, Santarem, Elvish, Avis, and Tomar, are five good options as you're adding in other areas to consider here in Portugal that I think are worth, again, exploring and spending some time as you're driving around. And of course, it depends on what you're looking for. If you want big city life, then it's Lisbon or Porto. If you want the beach life, I will say Sinej. It does have that, but maybe you want more activity in bigger towns like Lagos, Albufeira, Portimao, um, Vila Moura, something like that. But I would say for your money, and for those that want to be careful with what you're spending on a rental budget, or what you want to be cautious or careful about what you're paying on a purchase price for a property, these areas of Portugal have some really good options for you. So, as always, thank you so much for continuing to watch the video. I hope you check out some of these places. Please comment below because I'd love to hear if you've been to them, or if they're on your list, they've got moved off your list, or if you've never heard of them and you might be considering adding them because of the video. Please comment. I'd love to get your comments and hear what your thoughts are on these places. Take care and have a great day.